Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. Welcome to Transfer Hub, your home of Aston Villa's transfer news, links, rumours, noise, murmurings, incomings, outgoings, you name it. You'll find it here on Transfer Hub at Up the Villa. If you are new to our channel, make sure you are subscribing. Get on the journey with us. Let's have a light target of, let's try and go for around 700. And comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. I imagine this one's going to pop off, so all of your thoughts are warranted. And a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm just going to be brutally honest with my thoughts. So, yeah, I'm just going to give my honest thoughts on how I feel about Jacob Ramsey. So here we can see the rumour, Nottingham Forest have made Aston Villa forward Jacob Ramsey a primary summer target to bolster their squad. When previously linked with clubs, the potential fee has been upwards of £30 million. Right. Aston Villa's summer window is very dry. Very, very dry, and not a lot is happening. We are under UEFA SCR constraints that we aren't allowed to spend what we want to spend. The wage bill has significantly got to be reduced to comply with UEFA financial rules to be able to have us competing in Europe. We are being slightly held back, which to fans, to me, is very, very frustrating when I want to see our football club kick on and compete at the top end of the Premier League. Something has got to give this window at Aston Villa. We have got to move on players, sell players to be able to give us wriggle room to be able to sign players. That's the bottom line. Somebody has got to go. And there's a lot of players at Aston Villa that I do not want to sell because we've got a very good squad, and I believe that we need to fine-tune this Villa squad in certain areas to enable us to be better than last season, to compete and to achieve the objectives that we want to achieve. So within that, there are a lot of players that I don't want to see leave. Boubacar Kamara, Yuri Tielemans, Ezri Konsa, Ollie Watkins, Morgan Rogers, Emi Martinez. Those players I do not want to see Aston Villa leave. But unfortunately, someone's got to leave because we cannot just go out and spend money. We can see the pattern now. Vidagani spoke about it at the awards evening at the end of the season. We've got players that we want to sell, Dendoncker, Buendia, etc., Leon Bailey. But the problem is those players aren't going to leave right now. They're going to leave at the end of the window, bargain basement, when teams get desperate, when they just want to grab a bit of a bargain. They'll drop a valuation of, say, a couple of mil, and we'll probably accept it. So that's the time that those are going to move on. So if, for example, nobody leaves Villa up until then, we're probably not going to make a signing until we've got the scope and the movement in wages, etc., that's been decreased, which enables us to then go and get players in on lower wages, etc. We've got more money coming in from player sales. So in the meantime, players have got to leave. Well, one or two or whoever has got to leave, which will enable us to have more room to be able to improve the team. That's just generally where we are and the realization of what's happening within this window. So within the whole team of players that I don't want to leave, there's a player in Jacob Ramsey that I'm going to be honest, like, he really frustrates me because I've seen glimpses of what he can do. There's attributes that I really like, that I think Emery really likes. But unfortunately, we just don't see enough of it on a consistent basis. And that is the issue for me. And the issue for me on that left-hand side, there's areas within our team where I think players have got positions locked in, double pivot. And what I mean by this is if Tielemans is fit, Tielemans plays. If Kamara's fit, Kamara plays. If Rodgers plays, fit or not fit, Emery plays him. Watkins plays. We go back to when we were qualifying for the Champions League, Bailey had the right-hand side locked in with the RB. They played every single week. That left-hand side for me has always been a bit of a position where we could have anybody there. You know, when we predicting lineups, we could go, I could have McGinn on the left, Rodgers on the left, Ramsey could play on the left. And it just never feels like locked. I never feel secure enough with the player that plays there. And it is a specific based system position. Don't get me wrong, Ramsey's got really good attributes. Like he's dribbling, his carrying's decent. Defensively, I think Emery trusts him defensively. But I always just want more. I always come away thinking he's okay. He could score a goal and then he disappears. I always feel like he has spells where 20-minute spells where I just don't see him doing anything, or I don't see him going for the ball and owning the ball and wanting the ball. I just see him floating, drifting a little bit. So to some, that might be a shock. You might really like him. He's one of our own. He's come from the academy. But at the end of the day, that's not a reason to keep him. That reason there is not enough to keep him. And the other reason as well is that I think certain players generally always get a lot of stick for their numbers and the way in which they contribute to this Aston Villa team. But I never really see anyone mentioning Ramsey or Ramsey's numbers or Ramsey not contributing. You know, last season, Bailey just didn't really contribute, but neither did Ramsey. You know, I mean, we look at Ramsey's numbers here over the last 4 seasons, 21, 22, 6 goals, 1 assist, 22, 23, 6 goals, 8 assists. That's his best season. 23, 24, that was when he was injured. So he had 1 goal, 2 assists. We've got last season, 4 goals, 5 assists. If we have a look at Premier League, 4 goals, 5 assists. So, yes, he's been injured a lot. And the injury to his foot was no fault of his own. You know, it's a break in his metatarsal. I think it was his metatarsal. But I need to see more. I really need to see more. And even if he doesn't go, I want to see so much more from that player. It's unbelievable. The level has got to increase. The numbers have got to increase. So for me personally, I would sell Jacob Ramsey and I would have no problem with Jacob Ramsey leaving Aston Villa. Nottingham Forest point of view, they are looking like they're going to get rid of Gibbs White. They don't want to, but the release clause and Marinakis is baiting legal, but I think he's probably going to leave. But again, I feel like even for Nottingham Forest to swap Gibbs White for Ramsey, they're completely different players. The way in which Gibbs White always looks for the ball, wants the ball, hungry for the ball, wanting to make things happen. That's not Jacob Ramsey, in my opinion, when you're comparing the two players together. So just giving my honest thoughts. Like if we want to sign players and we want players to come in, then someone's going to have to leave. And looks like Ramsey is the one. There's been reports of Tottenham, etc. in the past, and Newcastle have wanted him as well. So for me, I've no problem with Jacob Ramsey leaving. Villa fans, let me know in the comment section how you're feeling. Do you want to see him stay? or would you sell Jacob Ramsey and move him on? In other news, Baranchea looks like he's going to Benfica. So we look like we're getting around 15 million euros for Baranchea, which again, I think is decent money for him. I think he's a player that I don't think he's going to get in this Villa squad. I think it shows that he's behind Kamara, Tielemans, Onana, McGinn can play central, Barkley can play central. That's 5 players centrally that I would say he's behind in that pecking order. Does it kind of make me feel a little bit better that if he was to stay, would that mean that a central midfielder was probably going to leave? If we weren't going to have to replace a central midfielder, possibly. So for me, it's just that's some finances coming in as well. But it's just where we are. I think there's slowly becoming a stark realization in my head that the season is approaching and we need fresh faces. And it's not even fresh. Every squad needs a fresh face, in my opinion. It needs a fresh somebody that can just come in and give that little bit of a different buzz, vibe, a little bit of just that something for the squad. Give them a little bit of a zip, a spring in their step. Just that there's something different. And I think Emery needs something different within the squad as well. So I don't know what we do positional wise. If Ramsey goes, do we go out and sign a player to play in that role, or do we get a left winger, or do we get a right winger? I'm not sure. The fee, I would want more than 30 because Ramsey's wages is on 70. So it's not like, yes, we're getting, say, 70,000 a week off the wage bill, but it's not like it's in the hundreds. It's not like it's a top earner coming off, which then gives you more wriggle room, etc. So I would want the fee to be possibly slightly higher, 40, 45, hopefully. If Nottingham Forest are coming in for him and they're losing Gibbs White, then we know that they've got 60 million from that Gibbs White. So you want to replace him, then you got to pay the money. So that's just where I'm at. I mean, I'm just being honest. I wouldn't be true to myself if I was just going to come on here and try and blindside everybody and go, oh, I'm really gutted, just because that would be a positive narrative to spin on a player. Like, I'm just being honest with my honest thoughts of what I see when I watch Jacob Ramsey. And that is exactly what I've seen, what I've said on this show today. And I wouldn't be true to myself if I'm just going to say that positive things, really. And hopefully you respect my thoughts, really, because I'm not one to just say stuff just to people please. Yes, I can have fun with the content, etc. But at the end of the day, like, you got to have a sense of realization on some aspects of talking about things. Really, we can have fun with transfer rumors, but let's let I've got to be serious sometimes. So, yeah. So I think it's about time we start really shaping this squad up for the new season, because another realization, guys, was Newcastle bidding for Ekatike and keeping Isak at the same time. That is scary within itself. So, yes, if we keep the main bulk of the squad, Liverpool won the league without making a signing. Newcastle won the Carabao Cup and qualified for the Champions League without making a signing. So the bulk of our squad is very, very good, but there's areas that needs to improve. Like, we cannot overlook these areas from last season that let us down. The right-hand side severely let us down. We have to improve that right-hand side. We have to, because the same pattern is going to happen next season if we don't recruit in the right areas. So that is where I'm at, right? I'm just being honest. So up the Villa, keep the faith. We'll be back maybe today, We've got some good stuff tomorrow. So thanks everyone for your support. Up the Villa.